Adui prayed and broke the padlock was the same night Boyenga's chain chattered. At Ronke's new apartment, he suddenly felt like a man waking from deep sleep. His head cleared, and for the first time in years, he looked around as if he didn't belong there. He stood, confused and clutching his shirt. Where am I? What am I doing here? Ronke looked up irritated. Sit down, Boyenga, and why are you moving like a madman? No, he said with his voice very sharp, almost shocking to his own ears. Don't tell me to do that. Ronke gasped. She stood up, pointing her long finger at him. Are you mad? I said sit down. A resetting slap landed on her cheek. How dare you? Tears rushed from his eyes as he shouted. What have I done to my wife and to my children? He rushed out of the apartment, ignoring Ronke's screams behind him. It was close to midnight when Abike heard loud knocks on her door. She was sitting in the living room, her Bible open on her lap, though her eyes were swollen from crying. Abike, please open, it's me. She was scared, but then she opened the door and she saw Boyenga. He didn't look like the proud husband he had become. His shirt was half-buttoned. His face was wet with tears and he dropped to his knees the moment she opened the door. Abike, he cried, his voice breaking. Please forgive me. I was blind, but now my eyes are open. I abandoned you and our children. Oh my God, I am so ashamed of myself right now. Please forgive me. Abike stepped back, her chest rising and falling. Her face tightened. Forgive you? Just like that? After all the nights I cried myself to sleep? After all the insults I bore from neighbors? Do you know how many times your children ask me, where is daddy? Do you even know how I stood alone at school meetings and how other school children mocked our children because their fathers came, but theirs never did? Boyenga bowed his head, sobbing. Abike, I know I don't deserve it. I still can't understand what happened to me, but whatever it was, I am free now. Please give me another chance. She shook her head, her tears rolling freely. Do you know how many times I begged you to stay? Do you know how many times I cooked and you refused to eat? Do you know how my heart broke when I heard you were spending nights with that woman, and now just like that you think I will open my arms to you? Her words pierced him like knives. He stretched his hands towards her feet. Abike, please, I will do anything, even if it takes the rest of my life to win you back. Even if I have to start as a stranger in this house, I will. Just don't throw me away. She looked down at him. Her heart was torn. She loved him, but her wounds were still fresh. Leave this house tonight. If you are serious, come back tomorrow because I need time. For 3 days, Boyenga kept on pleading, but Abike kept on saying, you caused me pain. I cannot just wash it away overnight. He will not with tears in his eyes. I understand, my dear wife, and I will wait. The children were confused. They saw their father crying every day, begging and promising to change. On the 4th day, Abike finally accepted. They sat in the living room. She didn't smile and she didn't sit near him. She crossed her arms with her face staring. If you want this marriage to work again, you will end it. You will show me and the children that you are truly back, not with words but with actions. Boyenga said yet with his head bent. Yes, Abike, I will prove it. I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. It was not an instant reconciliation. It was slow, full of tears and arguments, but this time Abike had the power, and deep in her heart she thanked God, not only for freeing her husband but also for giving her the strength to remind him that love is not something you play with and expect to get it back cheaply. While Boyenga was busy struggling to win his wife's trust back, Ronke's life turned upside down. At first, she didn't understand it. She thought Boyenga was only being dramatic when he walked out of her apartment that night. She expected him to return the next morning, kneeling, begging and calling her my queen the way he always did. But morning came, afternoon followed, night fell, then days passed and there was no Boyenga anywhere. For the first time in years, her calls went unanswered. The texts she sent were not returned. She walked around her apartment like a lioness in a cage. "This cannot be happening," she muttered, her red nails tapping the table. "No man had ever said no to me. Moyenga is mine, and mine he will remain forever." She rushed to the small nylon bag where she had kept her charm. Her hands trembled as she untied it. She pulled out the padlock, stared at it and froze. Her eyes widened. "Oh!" she screamed. That was when she remembered that she left that padlock in her old apartment. Without wasting time, she stormed out of the house and within minutes she got to Mama Kiki's compound. Adeline had just returned from the market, her basket filled with vegetables and pepper. She was unlocking her door when she turned and saw Ronke standing there breathing hard with her eyes wide. "I left something very important in this apartment," she said, "and I want to collect it." Adeline narrowed her eyes and replied, "Nothing important was found here, only bondage, and I broke it." Ronke's mouth fell open. "What?" Adeline lifted her chin. "Yes, whatever padlock you left, I prayed and I destroyed it in Jesus' name, and I am sure you must be feeling the effects." For a moment, silence filled the compound. Ronke lifted her voice, trembling with anger. "Do you know what you have done? Do you even know who I am? That man was mine." "Well, you will see." Adeline's eyes flashed with quiet boldness. "No man belongs to evil. He belongs to his wife and his God, and I fear no threats. If you want to fight me, then you have to first fight the God who lives in me." Ronke's face twisted. She let out a hiss that echoed in the yard, turned sharply and stormed out. As she walked away, neighbors peeped through their windows. Mama Tini whispered, So it is really true this girl tied a married man down." Another voice added, "But this new tenant, she has fire in her eyes. Ronke may regret this fight." Baba Salami just said, it don't shele." Ronke was boiling and she knew exactly where she was going. She went back to the herbalist who gave her the charm. And this time, she wasn't going to beg for love, she was going to ask for war. She pushed the bamboo curtain aside and stormed in. The herbalist, a wrinkled old man with chalk marks all over his body, looked up from the cowries he was casting. "Ronke," he called in his deep voice, "why have you come back? I thought your man had already been tied like a goat." "He is free!" Ronke shouted, stamping her foot. Her voice shook with desperation. No foolish Christian girl broke the padlock and scattered everything. "I'm not half finished. Baba, do something." The herbalist raised his head slowly and said, "The girl who broke it, she's not ordinary. I can smell light around her." Ronke clenched her fist. "Then quench it. Quench her light. Blind her eyes and shut her mouth. I don't care. I just want her to be destroyed." The herbalist picked up his staff, leaned on it and stared into the smoking pot at the corner. The fire inside it crackled strangely and the smoke twisted into shapes. His voice dropped low, almost like a crow. "If you want me to attack this girl, you must know the risk. People of light are dangerous. If the spirits turn against us, you may not survive it." "I don't care," Ronke shouted. "Do it. I cannot let that girl take away everything I worked for." The old man sighed heavily. He picked up a live chicken, whispered some incantations and slit it. Then the vital fluid dripped into the pot of fire, making the smoke rise thicker. He began chanting, his voice vibrating like thunder. Then he raised his hand and called into the unseen. Find this girl called Adui, you spirit of my forefathers. Pierce her eyes and make her blind. Let her stumble in darkness. Ronke's breathing grew heavy. She grinned wickedly. Yes, blind her and do it right now. But at that very moment, far away in her room, Adui was on her knees praying. She didn't know what was happening at the shrine, but her spirit felt pressed. She lifted her hands and declared, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Every tongue that shall rise up against me, I condemn them now in the name of Jesus. I am covered by the blood of Jesus. And as her words rose, the smoke in the herbalist pot twisted violently. The fire hissed and sparks flew. The herbalist frowned, pressing his staff harder to the ground. Spirits, blind her now, he commanded again, but suddenly Ronke screamed, my eyes! My eyes! She staggered back, clutching her face. Darkness covered her vision. The very curse she intended for Adui had bounced back on her. She fell to the ground, rolling, her voice breaking into shriek cries. Baba, I can't see. Help me, I am blind. The herbalist stared at her, shaking his head. His cowl was scattered from the mat. He looked at her pitifully and muttered, I warned you, didn't I? Lights cannot be quenched. Now the fire had backfired. Ronke crawled on the ground, her hands outstretched. Do something, Baba. Please do something. Give me medicine. Wash my eyes. Just do anything. But the herbalist only shook his head. Nothing can be done. You fought the wrong person. He stood, lifted his staff and led her out of the shrine. From that day, she was never the same again. Meanwhile, peace was quietly returning to Moyinga's home. It didn't happen in one night because Abike had flesh, blood and wounds that ran deep. At first, she could barely look at her husband without anger boiling inside. His apologies felt too small compared to the pain he caused, but Moyinga didn't give up. Every morning he woke up before her, did his part as a husband and carried their children to school. Neighbors who once mocked Abike now stood at their gates whispering, is this not the same man who used to behave like a slave for Ronke? Look at him now, serving his wife. At night, instead of sneaking away, he sat with his family. He told the children stories, tickled them until they laughed and prayed with them before bed. Sometimes in the middle of prayer, tears will roll down his cheeks and the children will hug him saying, Daddy, we love you. Abike watched all of this quietly. Her heart was still heavy, but slowly light entered. One Saturday morning she was cooking in the kitchen when she felt strong arms wrapped around her. It was Moyinga. His voice was broken. Abike, I know you are still angry with me, but I swear before God, I will never leave you again. Please let me love you like I should have from the start. Abike stiffened at first. She wanted to push him away. She wanted to remind him of all the nights he abandoned her, but instead, her eyes was filled with tears. She stirred the pot quickly to hide her face, but her lips trembled. Finally, she whispered, if you break me again, Moyinga, you will not find me in this house. I will go and you will never see me again. He turned her around gently, his eyes red. I will never break you again. I will spend the rest of my life proving that. From that day, their marriage entered a new season. He pampered Abike as though she was the only woman alive. He bought her new clothes, carried her handbag to church and cooked when she was tired. Abike's smile slowly returned. Her laughter, once buried in sorrow, began to flow again, and though she never knew about the padlock Aduni had broken in that room across town, she knew one thing for sure, that God had fought for her family. Ronke was taken back to her parents' house by kind-hearted people. The same woman who once walked proudly with painted lips and expensive clothes was now clinging to walls for direction. When her mother saw her, she screamed, "Ronke, what happened to you?" "Mama, it is nothing," Ronke stammered, trying to sound calm, though her hands were shaking. "It's just my eyes. I think it's myopia. I've been having eye problems before now. Maybe it just got worse." Her father frowned deeply. "Myopia? But since when? You never complained of this before." Ronke forced a weak smile. "I didn't want to worry you, Papa, but it has been there." Her parents looked at each other troubled. They knew their daughter was lying, but what mattered most was a solution. They could not let their only daughter stumble like a beggar in the streets. "Let us go to the hospital," her mother insisted. The very next morning, they dressed Ronke in clean attire and led her gently into a big eye clinic in town. The doctor, a calm middle-aged man, welcomed them and sat her down for examination. "Madam," he said kindly, shining a light into her eyes, "when did this blindness start?" Ronke cleared her throat. "I've been having problems before now. It only became worse last week." The doctor paused, looked at her again, and then turned to her parents. "This blindness did not come from any natural cause. Something unnatural is behind this. I can prescribe glasses, but it will not work. I can even recommend surgery, but it will definitely fail because there is no medical explanation for this kind of blindness." Ronke's parents left the hospital with her with heavy hearts. They didn't say a word to her even as they got home. That evening, her father finally said in a tired voice, "We must look for a solution. If the doctor cannot help, then we will go elsewhere." Her mother agreed quickly. "Yes, let us take her to a prayer house. Let us take her anywhere. We cannot sit and watch our daughter go blind forever." Ronke's heart, shame and fear battered. She knew the truth. She remembered the words of the herbalist. "You fought the wrong person. This girl is light." And each time she closed her empty eyes, she saw Aduni's calm face in her memory saying, "Nothing important was found here, only bondage, and I broke it." Those words haunted her, louder than her parents' voices and louder than the doctor's reports. They carried her to a prayer house, fasting centers, and night vigils. Everywhere they went, people prayed, shouted, poured anointing oil on her head, but nothing changed. Her eyes remained dark. Her mother grew restless. Her father's face hardened with worry. Every morning they argued about what to do, and finally one evening her father said bitterly, "Enough of these prayer houses. We have wasted time. If God wanted to help, he would have helped by now. Let us go the traditional way. Maybe the spirit of our forefathers will show us mercy." Ronke's mother nodded reluctantly. At this point, anywhere solution will come from was good to go. The very next day, they traveled to a nearby village known for strong traditional medicine. They were directed to an old healer called Baba Awilo, whose compound was filled with charms, hanging calabashes and animal skins. His eyes were sharp. His beard was long and grey, and he welcomed them with a crooked smile. After they explained their ordeal, he said to them, "Do not worry, I will definitely drive it out." He asked her parents to bring a traditional broom, and her father quickly bought one from a woman at the roadside. Baba Awilo took the broom, waved it over a pot of smoking herbs, and began chanting incantations in a language that made Ronke's parents shiver. Then he turned to Ronke. "Lie down." She obeyed. Baba Awilo began sweeping her face gently with the broom, brushing across her forehead, eyelids and cheeks. Each stroke was followed by incantation as though he was driving away an invisible force. "Out! Out of these eyes! See again," he commanded, but after almost almost an hour of sweeping and chanting, Ronke only lay there, blinking into darkness. Nothing changed. She shook her head slowly. Baba, I still cannot see. The healer frowned. He swept harder, this time beating her slightly on the head with the broom. See! I said see, he shouted, but still her eyes remained dark. Her father's face dropped. Her mother covered her mouth in despair. Baba Willow finally dropped the broom aside. This case is strong, I mean very strong. The spirit that closed these eyes is not an ordinary one. Ronke began to cry. Why me? Why me? But deep in her heart, she knew the truth. After the broom ritual failed, Ronke's parents carried her from one traditional healer to another. Some gave her strange soaps to bathe with. Others tied cowries around her waist. One even slaughtered a goat. Still, her eyes remained dark. Her parents' shame deepened. They could no longer walk fully to the market without side glances and pity sighs. Finally, her mother said, let us go back to church. Maybe God will have mercy this time. Her father grumbled but agreed, so they led Ronke into a large noisy church in the city. The pastor was a flamboyant man. He laid his hand dramatically on Ronke's head, shaking it as if trying to force light into her eyes. After some loud prayers and chants, he stepped back, wiping sweat from his forehead. Then he smiled and said, this case is very deep, but it can be solved with sacrifice. I mean a heavy sacrifice. Ronke's parents looked at each other nervously. How much, man of God? Her father asked. The pastor brought out a handkerchief from his pockets and declared, 2 million naira. Her mother gasped. 2 million? Yes, so the pastor replied firmly. If you want her to see again, the seed must be big. No small offering can fight this battle. Ronke sat silently, remembering the expensive gold Boyenga had showered on her, and she still had plenty of money saved from him. She whispered, Papa, Mama, I will pay. I have the money. Her parents turned to her in shock. You? Yes, she said bitterly. The next day, they led Ronke to the bank and she withdrew stacks of cash. She carried it in a black nylon bag to the church. The pastor beamed when he saw the money. He laid his hands on the bag and prayed loudly, and then he said, Go! In 7 days' time, she will see again. They waited patiently, and on that 7th day, they rushed her back to the church. The pastor laid his hands on her again. Open your eyes and see, he shouted. Ronke shook her head, but it was still dark. The pastor prayed louder, almost screaming. See! I said see, in Jesus' name. Ronke blinked harder, her lips trembling, but the darkness was still there, not even a shadow. Her parents' faces fell. But we paid everything, her mother whispered. The pastor stepped back, frowning. This case is very stubborn. You may need to sow another seed, a bigger one this time, maybe 5 million naira. Ronke's mother's voice rose in anger. After 2 million naira? The pastor, who had been looking for a way to discharge them sins, saw that as an insult, and then he ordered them out of his office. For months, Ronke's blindness was the only cross they carried, but one morning her mother heard her coughing. At first she thought it was nothing, but the cough grew deeper and louder like it was coming from inside her bones. The next day, she started vomiting. Then came headaches, strange fevers and sudden pains in her stomach. It was as if every part of her body had declared war against her. Her parents rushed her to different hospitals. The doctors ran tests. They checked her eyes, her blood, her chest and her brain. But at the end of every test, the answer was always the same. We cannot find anything wrong with your daughter. Her father grew angry. How can you say nothing is wrong? She's blind. She's vomiting. She's weak and she cannot even sleep at night. Are you saying she's pretending? But the doctors only shook their heads. Sir, we see a medical explanation here. Her body is medically okay and you do understand as well. They went everywhere people suggested and each time they spent huge amounts of money, but her condition only grew worse. Her father began to lose weight. His hair turned grey faster than before. I am tired, he said one evening with his voice breaking. Every day we carry her like a bag of problems. Blindness was one thing, but now sickness upon sickness. What sin did we commit to deserve this? Her mother sat on the floor beside him, rocking herself. I don't know. Sincerely, I don't know anymore. If it was only blindness, we could have managed. But this is killing all of us. Ronke could feel it too. The sicknesses drained her body. Her rose plump cheeks were now hollow. One day her mother went to the market and then a woman stopped and greeted her warmly. She was Mama Nkechi, a woman known in the market for her cheerful spirits. She said to her, I've been hearing of what your daughter is going through. It is very painful. Ronke's mother nodded without energy. Painful is too small a word, my sister. It is as if life had turned its back on us. Mama Nkechi looked around carefully and then said, I know a genuine man of God, not like those fake ones who ask for big money before even saying one prayer. This one is different. He doesn't demand money, he only prays and allows God to do his work. Please take Ronke there. I believe something can still be done. As Ronke's mother heard man of God, immediately bitterness rose in her heart like a flood. She shook her head violently. Please and please, don't ever tell me about pastors again. Those people are all the same. They drained us dry. They ate all our money, made promises, shouted prayers, and yet my daughter is still blind and sick. What is the difference between them and thieves? Mama Nkechi held her hand gently. But this one is not like that. Don't say that, Ronke's mother interrupted with tears. Do you know how many nights I slept hungry because I gave pastor every last coin? Do you know how many times I carried Ronke home with oil dripping from her hair, yet nothing happened? If you see me in any church again, just know that I've lost my mind. Her voice broke and she covered her face, weeping loudly. She bought what she came to the market for and left. Weeks later, life became unbearable in their home. Ronke's sickness grew worse. She was no longer just blind and sick. Sometimes she would scream in the middle of the night, holding her head as if something was chasing her. Her parents were drained. They had no more money, no more energy, and no more peace. The day it became worse, Mama Nkechi visited. This time, Mama Ronke didn't speak with her usual boldness. She just broke down crying. My sister, she said, holding Mama Nkechi's hand tightly. God brought you here, oh. Please take us to that man of God you spoke about. Even if I don't believe anymore, I can't sit here and watch my daughter waste away. Immediately, they prepared Ronke. She was so weak, but she was half carried into the church. The pastor, a man with a calm face, stood quietly as they entered. He didn't rush or raise his voice like the others they had met. He simply looked at Ronke once and sighed deeply. He turned to her mother. Why did you wait this long before bringing her here? Mama Ronke began to cry. Pastor, we went to so many others before coming here and they took everything we had. This is not the right time to cry, woman. And then he turned to Ronke and asked, Young lady, what have you done? Ronke pretended to be confused. Me? Pastor, I've not done anything, no. I swear with heaven and earth, I am innocent. Her mother and her father quickly joined in. Yes, Pastor, please pray for her. She doesn't deserve the suffering. But the pastor did not move. She's not ready to be healed, he said. They were all surprised. What do you mean, her father asked. We came here for help. Pastor, why will you say such a thing? The pastor's voice grew stronger. This girl knows exactly what she did. She knows where her blindness and sickness came from. Until she speaks, there will be no deliverance. At that moment, Ronke began to tremble. Since they started moving from one place to another, only this one had told the truth. She burst into tears. I didn't mean for it to turn out like this. Her parents looked at her in confusion. What are you saying? Her mother asked. I only wanted him to love me forever. The herbalist told me to lock him with a padlock so he will never leave me. I didn't know it would destroy me instead. Her father staggered backward as if struck. Ronke, you, my daughter, locked a man? Her mother fell to the floor, beating her chest. Oh God! So all this pain was not from witches outside, but from my own child's wickedness. Ronke covered her face in shame. I thought I was in control. I thought I could keep him, but everything had turned against me. Even Mama Kechi, who had followed them, covered her mouth in disbelief. Her father's eyes filled with tears. All the money we wasted, all the nights we cried, all the shame we carried was because of you? Her mother shook her head bitterly. A child I carried in my womb, the one I labored for, had turned out to be this evil? How, Ronke? You have killed us. The pastor raised his hand gently and said, Ronke, true deliverance is not complete until you set things right. You must confess your deeds to the family you destroyed. You tied a man's life. You broke his marriage and you caused pain in a home that once had peace. So if you truly want freedom, you must go to them and speak the truth. Ronke's face turned pale. Her lips trembled. Pastor, please, don't send me there. How will I face them? They will kill me with words. They will curse me. The pastor shook his head. It is better for men to curse you than for God to curse you. So go and confess. That is the price for your healing. 2 days later, Ronke with her parents by her side stood at the doorstep of Wenga's house. What do you want here? His wife asked sharply. Ronke fell to her knees immediately. Please forgive me. I came to tell you the truth. Her husband stood up slowly with anger flashing in his eyes. What truth? Having to cause enough damage? Ronke lifted her hands, crying uncontrollably. It wasn't love. It was bondage. I went to a herbalist. I locked your picture with a padlock so that you will never leave me. I commanded your heart, your money and your body. I forced you to do things you will never have done on your own. That's why you forgot your wife, and that's why you wasted everything on me. I destroyed you. Please forgive me. The man staggered backward as if thunder had struck him. His legs almost gave way. His wife covered her mouth in shock. So it was you? The man cried, his voice breaking. It was you who changed my life and made me abandon my home? Ronke bent her head lower, beating her chest. Yes, it was me, and now I am blind, sick and ruined. The same charm I used had destroyed me. Pastor said I must tell you the truth before God can have mercy on me. At that moment, everything became clear to him. The fog in his head, the strange lust, the foolishness of his actions, and the blindness to his wife's tears, it all suddenly made sense. He turned to his wife, falling to his knees. My love, please forgive me. I know I was not myself. I know I was chained and I was manipulated, but if I didn't go after her in the first place, we wouldn't have been having the discussion right now. Please forgive me. His voice cracked as he wept openly. I became his wife, only saw the hand of God in all that was happening. So slowly she lifted her husband. Ronke's parents knelt down too, crying and begging, "Please forgive our daughter. She has brought shame on us, but we cannot undo the past." Moyinka wiped his tears and said, "I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I want peace for my soul. May God deal with you according to his mercy." And they locked their door. For nights, Moyinka could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered Ronke's confession and how she said Adunni played a key role. So one morning he told his wife, "Darling, I must find that young woman. If not for her prayers, I would have died in shame. She saved me from bondage and I cannot rest until I thank her properly." His wife nodded, though her heart was still healing. "Yes, you can go. She was the vessel God used and she deserves to be honored." Moyinka drove down to Adunni's apartment. She was shocked when she saw him at her door, neatly dressed, and his eyes filled with humility. She recognized him, even though that was the first time of seeing him physically. He just said, "Adunni, I came to say thank you. I don't know if I will still be alive today without your kind of courage. You broke a chain that nearly destroyed my entire life and that of my family." "It was God who did it, not me," Adunni replied. "Yes, it was God, but he used you. If you had kept quiet and if you had not prayed, I would still be a prisoner in another woman's hands." From that day, Moyinka made Adunni like a younger sister. He told his friends in high places about her, used his connections and secured her a good job in a reputable company. Adunni stopped struggling for rent and she stopped wondering where her next meal would come from. Her life changed completely. People who once mocked her now saw her riding in her own car, dressing well and living in comfort, but she never became proud. She always said, "It was God who lifted me." But for Ronke, the story was different. After her confession, her health never improved. She became weaker and weaker. Her blindness was permanent. In the end, she died a slow and lonely death, which is a painful reminder that evil may prosper for a season, but it cannot last forever, and that no matter how sweet evil looks in the beginning, it always ends in bitterness. As for Moyinka and his wife, their home became peaceful again. He continued to pamper her, to care for her and to treat her like the queen she is. They grew old together and the marriage became a testimony to others, and whenever Adunni visited them, the couple welcomed her with joy and they never forgot that a young Christian lady was the instrument God used to save their home that was on fire. Hey African Tales by Karma Tribe, how are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. As I was writing this particular story, what came to my mind was that testimony on NSPPD of that particular young lady who stood and said her father cheated on their mother with their mother's relative years ago. And from there, the man began to act strange, even sent them down to Cross River State, and they started struggling to eat. Long story cut short, the said lady just confessed last week, if I'm not mistaken, after 20 years. 20 solid years that she's the one behind all the tragedies that struck the family. The endless problems, the lack of peace, and even their father's untimely death. So please, dear Karma Tribe, think about it. One careless decision, one affair and one betrayal, a whole family paid the price for decades. Hear me clearly. Cheating is not just fun, it is a doorway to destruction. You may think it's only about pleasure, but in reality it is planting seed of pain that will grow into a harvest of tears. Cheating does not end on the bed, it follows you to your house, to your children and to your destiny. Sometimes it hands your entire family over to someone who will never wish them well. Cheating opens doors to curses. Some men are struggling today not because of witches or enemies, but because of the pain they're cursed in secret. It is better to stay faithful and build slowly with your wife than to taste the forbidden honey and drink poison with it. Cheating can never end well. It may give you pleasure for a night, but it will cost you peace for a lifetime. If you are standing today, protect that your marriage. If you are already fallen, please rise up quickly and close that door before it destroys you. Remember, one moment of weakness can open up 20 years of sorrow. I am very sure you learned one or two things from this story, and I would like to read from you. Please don't forget to drop them in the comments and give me that thumbs up. I need it and I love it. Again, don't forget to share out the story to your loved ones, because you never can tell who need it at this time. Until I bring another interesting story your way, it is a goodbye from here, and God bless you.